Hi, everybody. Welcome to Women Like Me, Conversations with Women Like Me. I'm Julie Fairhurst, and I'm the founder of Women Like Me, which is a book series program, and I'm also the story coach. And I am here today with our wonderful writer, Alison DeGianni. Did I get that right?
DeGianni, yes.
DeGianni. And I practice.
You're fancying it up a little.
And so Alison wrote in this book, which is volume number 5 of Women Like Me From Lost to Living. And her chapter is number 6. And it's interesting because as the book gets done and I put the manuscript together, I don't, I just go, okay, well, this story would go here and here. And then afterwards, I realize what chapters they're in. Now, if you follow numerology at all, which I love numerology, number 6 is all about family. And so I'm very interested then when I start reading through the stories and I go, isn't that interesting? Alison's story is all about family and it's chapter 6. So anyway, that's just my little thing.
Very
okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So her title and subtitle is Denying the Power of Grief, Running from the Pain of Sadness. So it's quite an interesting story. And I love the way you wrote it. So here's a little bit about Alison. So Alison is the proud wife to Paulo and mother of 3 adult children. So Alissa, Sophia, and Theo. These beautiful humans encouraged her every day to be me. For that, she's eternally grateful. This story is written to show how life's journey takes us down many paths. And most importantly, we have the power and the strength to adjust the course. Alison is the founder and creative of DeGianni Design, a boutique interior design studio, bringing your story into your home. She has a passion to create designs that reflect clients' character and style while showcasing their story. So I thought that was interesting. We all have one to embrace. So thank you so much, Alison, for being here and for writing your story in the book and for being willing to come and talk to us on video as well.
Well, you're welcome.
Great. So why don't we dive into this story of yours? What I love about your story is how you laid it out. So your story really is chronological. You've got dates that were very significant in your life. So what you say in the beginning of your story is, our life experiences are based on dates. The significance of these dates shape who we are and how we lead our life. And so do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's just those, the dates that I've written about were, course altering for my life. And sorry.
That's okay.
They really changed how I handled certain situations. Yeah. And they were tough.
Yes. Well, I really like how you did chronological it, and you gave each person that you were talking about. I love how you gave them a date, and then you gave them their story, and then you gave them their date, and then you gave them their story. So I really, a little different than anybody else has written. I've got over 60 writers so far, and of course we're starting book number 6 now. So now we're going to have over 70 writers. And so far, you're the one that has written in like that. I thought it was, I really liked it. I thought it had a super nice flow to it. So August 7th, 2012, that's when your mom, who was not very old, she was only 66. Mm-hmm. That's not very old, and she had passed away. And so that was the first date that you recall in your story. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that? What was happening?
It was just, I took some time off work so I could help. My mom and dad had recently moved to Abbotsford, and I took some time off work so I could just, I lived in the same city in Abbotsford.
Yeah.
And I could, now looking back, I see what I was doing. I can be a taskmaster. So I would go to their house, every other day or every day, and, help do, home tasks, and help them if they needed anything. And I noticed I wouldn't stay to visit very long. I was
Mm,
just kind of there to, this was my job. This is what I was doing. And I
yeah.
remember my mom one time saying, you can sit and just talk and visit with us. We don't need you to be doing something all the time. So
Right.
it should have maybe triggered me, although when you're thick in it, you don't realize
Yeah.
that that's what I was doing.
Where are you do you have siblings?
Yes, I have two older sisters.
Two old. So you're the baby of the
I'm the
family then.
baby. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Aw.
My middle sister Tony still introduces me as my little sister Allison.
Oh. Oh, that's sweet. Oh. So if I get what you're saying about that, is that you were busying yourself,
Mhm.
and because of the fear of what was happening.
Yes, I was
Makes sense.
creating a diversion.
A diversion. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It makes complete sense. Complete sense. And one of the, as I read through your story, I thought one of the things that I thought was quite interesting was when your mom did pass and your dad called, and you said it was weird because you blurted out she died. So it was like completely in denial that she was gone, although you knew that she was
Oh, and she had
going.
been in a coma for weeks, but I guess I was hanging on.
Yeah, yeah. When I read that, I kind of thought to myself, I wonder if that was just, again, the denial,
Mhm.
living in that denial. Like you knew logically this was happening, but emotionally you were in denial. So when it actually happened, you were actually almost shocked.
Oh, exactly. It was bizarre. It was, yeah, that's what we
Yeah,
were all waiting for. But I don't know. I just got adjusted to going to the hospital every day and being with her.
yeah.
Even if she was non-responsive, but I got into a routine.
Yes, yes, yeah. Wow. So then you go on to say, now what? And you go on to say, adjusting to a different routine, which does not involve going to the hospital, and having to introduce yourself back into the world, even which didn't stop, even though you felt like yelling at the rooftop that your mom had just died.
Well, I just say
Yeah.
everyone, as of course, everything just kept going on as usual, but we were
Mhm.
in this, routine, and I'm just going to the hospital. And I think I had mentioned in the story too, after a certain time, my dad just wanted us immediate family to be there.
Yes.
And it's lonely. It was lonely because my family was still continuing on, which they needed to. I mean,
Yes,
they
of course.
young kids, they're busy, and my husband's working. But then when I felt very a disconnect between them, because my role was going to the hospital, being with my mom. So when I was at home, I just kind of would sit, and everyone was just doing what they needed to do in their little worlds.
Yes. Yes. No, of course.
Yes.
So you ended up going to the West Coast Women's Clinic, and to see about getting some help. Is that correct?
Well, this was actually, it was just when my mom became ill that I went there, but I knew I was perimenopausal. I had lots of symptoms, and I was only in oh my goodness, I must have been in my late 30s.
Oh, okay,
So
that's early.
I
Yeah.
was going there to get just some guidance as far as how to handle it.
Yeah.
Used
Yeah.
symptoms I was going through. Hot flashes in your late 30s is not cool. Like,
No, that's awfully early for sure.
however, I'm
Yeah.
done now, so I can't complain. All my friends are just starting.
You can sit back now and go, uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not really hot in here. I'm turning up the heat. So at that time they described you an antidepressant.
Yeah, my doctor did. Yeah.
Your doctor did.
Yeah. I would have
right.
already been on them because he had prescribed them to me.
Okay.
Because I had said that, he said, this is what all I can do for you is do this. And
okay. Yeah. And then you say here, which I just really, I just again thought this was what you wrote here was just an awakening into how we do bury stuff and we don't, we're walking around in that fog, but we're not really awake. I don't know how to explain it, but you say, I remember saying to my doctor, it's just the circle of life. And my doctor said, no, your mother just died. However, I was doing whatever I could to convince myself that I was not suffering.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not
I think I was trying to normalize.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Normalize?
Yeah. I think,
okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just trying to make it like, oh, well, this is just what happens in life. This is just
Yes.
course.
Yes. And I just thought that was an awakening for some, because I think you go around numbing and for someone to say, well, hold on a minute, of course you should be feeling these ways because your parent just died.
Yeah.
After my father died, I was working at the time for the Ministry of Social Services, and my father died, and I went to work the next day, and they're like, what are you doing here?
Oh, exactly. Right.
Yeah. And they're like, no, out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't come to work. You're just in that numbing space.
You really don't know what to do.
Mm-mm. No. Yeah.
Like for a point, I mean, thank goodness I did have 3 busy kids because that occupied my time when I was trying to sort through what's the next, what am I doing next here?
Yes. Yeah. So then you say in May 25th, 2015, you talk about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only 6 months after your mom passed that your dad was diagnosed with leukemia. So again, very short time, maybe not even time to recover emotionally.
Well, no, and I hadn't even begun. So
yes.
It piled on. I think we were all just shocked and the doctor that was on call at the time in emergency, who brought on the diagnosis was very just, oh, well, you've got 6 to 9 months left. It was just very, yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying anything about that, but it was just, these obviously they deal with this stuff all the time. But for us, it was like, what? Like, it was just, oh yeah. I remember we were at Abbotsford Hospital and I just ran out in the parking lot and I phoned 2 of my good friends who I worked with at the time. And I was just like, oh my, like, I was just beside myself. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah. And then, you said you were grateful for his journey, and it lasted 2 years.
It did. Yes. So it wasn't
good.
Yes. I think they caught it, and right away, like I was saying, he was sent to VGH. So I think that was good. And then, we went through her process, but I mean, he had moments obviously where he's not feeling well,
right.
But he was a smart aleck. Our family, we like to use a comedy over top of when we're in bad situations. Like, you never want to hurt yourself and fall in front of me because I get the giggles because I don't know what to do. we handle it, us McNairs, we handle it that way.
Yeah, that you say here that your dad was a character and his motto was attitude is everything. I think that's wonderful. Because I believe attitude is everything.
Oh, it is. He was, yeah, my dad was a great force. He was very positive.
Yes, yeah. So, so then then your dad passes away, unfortunately, and you say that my world was crackling by the loss of both my mom and my dad. I went to the doctor for some help and was prescribed a second antidepressant to take in the evening. It masked the compounding pain I was trying to escape. And then you also said throughout your story is that you were also so you end up on 2 antidepressants plus the love of wine.
Yeah. Which I still have, but I do have an off button now. So
yes. So you were really doing, trying to cope, but covering it all up.
Yes.
Numbing.
Yes.
Is what you were doing.
Yes. Which is so funny because I'm a very expressive person. And my friends call me filter because I have none. So it's not like communication is not an issue with me. However, in this instance, I just shut down. It was out of character for me. And I don't think, because it is so out of character, I don't think I was realizing it. So
right. And I think this is just my own opinion, but I think sometimes the people who are happy-go-lucky, which is a good thing to be, but sometimes those are the people that take situations the worst.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember one of my sisters was she just couldn't stop crying. Like she cried so often, but I was a bit jealous because I thought, oh, I can't get it out. Like so I mean there were signals going on all the way through. And actually my one of my best friends, she is a counselor, but she said I had sent her the story to read, and she had phoned me and said, I remember going to your house when your mom passed, and you just didn't talk about it. Like it was just like we were having a visit, like you didn't even address it. And she said, I knew then that obviously you're struggling, getting this.
Oh, I just got shivers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we do what we have to do to survive at that moment in time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then you talk about your husband, and your husband was quite worried about you drinking, and you said that anytime it was brought up, you were embarrassed, and it made you a bit defensive.
Oh, completely. Because when you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be told they drink too much. Yeah.
I definitely knew it was, it was an issue. We are great communicators together.
Yeah.
We talk about everything and anything, and it did create. Well, we struggled with it. Yet at no point did I feel like this was it.
Right.
It was, either stop this or do that. Like Paulo was very patient in some areas, and but he was, I mean, he's in it for the long haul, and he wanted to help me. And I think his struggle was he didn't know what to do. Like he didn't know how, what do I do with this? And
well, I think men want to fix things. They want to make it better.
Yes.
And so when they can't fix it,
they're lost.
They're lost. I agree.
Lost. Yeah.
Aw. And then you talk about your daughter, Alissa. And you're saying that she traveled abroad for years to see the world. So lucky her. That's
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
She's had great experiences.
Yes. And then, but she did come home for your father's funeral. And you overheard her saying to your other children, to her siblings, I had to come home. I didn't want you to go through what I did when Nana died. And you say inside, I thought, what on earth does she mean by that? But you really knew.
Yes, there was again that word disconnect. I was there for my kids, like as far as necessities go, like they did it, they had everything they needed in their little worlds, but me.
Yeah.
Like the whole.
Yeah, that makes sense because you just you were making sure the day-to-day needs were met with everybody.
Yes, and that was about all I could do.
Yes, no, for sure. Yeah. And then March 5th, 2017 rolls along, and your poor mom-in-law.
Yes.
She dies next. And but she was a little older. She was 74 years old. But I love how you say there wasn't anything she wouldn't do to keep the family unit together. That's lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was, oh yes, definitely. Family was everything.
Yeah. Aw. And so how do you think you felt after that? Do you feel that you were like, were you still the same? Still, okay, she's passed, now I got to do the things that need to be done, but you still weren't really dealing with
it was a bit different with Nona just because she had been ill for so long. And she was so strong. Like I remember one Christmas, I think 2 Christmases passed before she actually passed away, but we did a special Christmas and she did a whole bunch of like special gifts for her sons, like these lovely watches, and I think she thought that was going to be her last Christmas. And then we kind of got the giggles because another one passed, and I think she thought, well, now what?
That's so sweet.
I think a majority of us were ready for that. It's hard as it is, but she had just gone through so much.
Yeah. And then September 30th, 2017 rolls around. Oh my goodness. And you've got a car accident that happened. So tell us a little bit about that.
We were just, my girlfriend and I, driving over the Port Mann Bridge, and she had said, stop the car, someone's on the highway. And I stopped, but I got hit from behind. So I believe there was like 8 of us in it. We were hit so hard, my seats broke. So we actually we know that there were like 4 impacts, but we didn't know what we hit because the seats broke. So
wow, scary. And so were the 2 of you okay, or?
We were, like, we did go to the hospital by ambulance, and we both had bad concussions and were beaten up pretty good because we did, we obviously had impact on a few things.
Yeah.
And after that, I suffered severe concussion symptoms. So I was off work for a long time. For 4 months, I tried to go back, but then I don't know if you've ever experienced a concussion, but you get that you just want darkness. You just need to go hide somewhere, and it's where it's quiet and dark. So I knew I wasn't quite ready. My girlfriend too, she suffered a lot. But yeah, anyway, but it just, I think even apart from the passing of parents, you can get into a depressive state with a concussion.
Of course, absolutely. Yes. And then you say, sort of towards the end of that, you say, my son Teo, had tried to discuss with me his discomfort with my drinking and how he hurt seeing me this way. He got so frustrated one day that he blurted out, "You're an alcoholic." That must have been a hard conversation to have.
Yes, well, it kind of ended there, to be honest. He kind of, I think he was shocked he said it, and I was shocked I heard it. So we both just were kind of, we had, prior to writing this story, had a
Yeah.
couple of conversations
Yes.
about it. Yeah, it was hard. He saw me a couple of times in bad, you know what, I'm just obviously
Yes.
bad shape. And he did talk to me twice and said, like, it hurts me to see you this way.
Yes.
I think that
Yes.
was really hard for him to do,
Yes, of course.
say that. And I think at this point, after going through this process of writing the story, as much as I'm healing, I mean, my family is too.
Yes, of course, of course. Yes. Well, and I mean, so it just, I mean, all you were dealing with, it was like back to back, back to back, back to back. And people have to cope some way, whatever way that is. The key is not coping that way for life.
No.
Which, yay, you didn't. So that's good. And then September 8th, 2020 rolls along. And now your father-in-law is passing. So you say the final of 4 incredible people in my life to pass. And was it Nano?
No.
No. And your father-in-law was the eldest of the group, and we treasured his life of 88 years. So, and on top of that, it was during COVID.
Yes. So he, when he went into the hospital and had his kidney removed, and I guess there was a couple other procedures, you could just tell when he came back, he just wasn't the same.
Right.
Wasn't the same mentally. And actually, a couple of days before he passed, he loves seafood, so we always do a crab fest on his birthday, and it's his birth. We're actually doing it this weekend on Sunday for him. In his memory. But so I remember we were all there, the whole family was there sitting outside, but he wasn't quite well, and he was lying in his bed. But he just said, he said to a few of us, I just love hearing your voices. I just happy your voices are here.
Oh,
yeah.
That's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, so then in 2021, so you were still having quite a difficult time with all of this grief that was happening in your life, but not really dealing with it. No. So then, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but then a dear friend of you told about a certain type of therapist.
Yeah, Sujok.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
It is amazing. The results are incredible. So it's all about your hand. I'm not going to do it justice explaining it, but anyways, you sit and you talk with Alla, and it's limitless all that she can help you with. When I went, I was actually focused on my headaches because I still suffer headaches from my concussion.
Yeah.
And it threw me because when we did start talking, I came out about losing parents and depression. And then she kind of got me on the road, to work on it. So
yeah.
It is amazing. You go, and it's like, it is in Vancouver. So I drive out, but I always think, well, I'm just driving out for a nap, because you just lie there for an hour with, what she's done, orchestrated in your hands.
Yeah.
And it's helped me.
So it's like a reflexology that she's doing in a sense.
Dealing with energy. Yes. Okay. If I'm getting that right. I know my daughter that does human design, she has been, and they've talked about, it is about energy, and that's what they both healing.
Yeah. So for you, I imagine there was a lot of blocked energy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was, it I say crazy, but it was, it unlocked and unleashed
Unleashed,
whole
yeah.
side of me that I didn't realize was there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
wow. And so that did help you though.
Oh, completely.
Yeah,
I did a couple of sessions, and then
yeah,
I did go off the antidepressant that I took in the evenings. And, I struggled a bit. I was a bit raw. My family didn't get away with much.
yeah, yeah,
Was on top of it. But yes, and I did go through withdrawal, which I didn't even think I would, but I didn't realize that, but I did.
yeah.
But anyways, no, I just, the clarity I have now is
Yeah.
amazing.
You wrote here, the therapist explained that the antidepressants I have been on for over 10 years are making me completely numb and unable to process my emotions. Not to mention my energy level was at an all-time low.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been
Yeah.
pretty active through my life, and running and stuff. Like I walk, we've always been walkers and stuff, but I just noticed, like, when I'm at home, I'm not, normally I was the Energizer bunny. I had lots to do with the kids and,
Yeah.
always doing
Yeah.
something. And now I do notice that or I
Yeah.
was noticing, it's quite easy just to sit and have a cup
Yes.
of tea.
Well, maybe that's okay.
Yes, yes, but it's better than what it was
Right.
after starting this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Well, and then May 21st in 2020. So your daughter Sophie is living in Victoria, British Columbia.
Yes.
And I love how you say we were thick as thieves when she was at home. But because of the distance that you were not, you weren't getting to spend as much time. And so then you say you were telling her about the story that you were writing and how it has been healing to write my truth. I wanted to start a dialogue with her on how my behavior affected her during this conversation. She began to tell you about the pressure that was on her while dealing with your issues, and she was worried at night about leaving you. So and then you say it was a gritty conversation, but that you needed to hear it.
Yes, especially with this, when I realized that I was going to be putting this story in the book, I sent the story to, like, my husband and my kids, because I said, I want you guys need to read this and be okay with this, because
Yes.
it's going to be out there.
Yes.
So that was my time, and I had the whole weekend to spend with her, so that was the time. I mean, it was a difficult weekend, but
Yes. Well, wonderful though. It's wonderful though that that you could talk about it, as difficult as it was, and open up those lines of communication and be able to listen to her.
yes, that's what I was trying to do, is let everyone have their little say about it. So
yes, I think that's wonderful. I do. And then you say what devastates me is that history is written and cannot be taken back. I am not able to erase those memories for my family, but I can move forward with them, rebuilding the trust that never should have been broken. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, to me, that's your healing statement. That's what's going to heal people, because we all have past. We've all done things that we're ashamed of, or we wish we hadn't done, or that we thought that we're stupid, or that we feel guilty for, and we can't change them.
no.
No, you can do nothing about it. It's done. So then what do? You have to release the past, so
Which
that
I'm
everybody
working on.
right, and so you can move forward. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you did in that conversation with your daughter and with your kids and your husband.
Mm-hmm. It was actually interesting. Like, when Teo read the story, he came, like, Teo's 22. When he came down, I said, like, what'd you think? He goes, Mom, that was tough. That was tough to read. But he said, it also put a different perspective in for me.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate that he understood it wasn't just that I was being carefree and not caring
Yeah.
about my family. It was that I
Right.
was going through the struggle and I didn't know how to get out.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, if anything, it was, I mean, it's, it was hard on all of us. And there were some, difficult times. I probably embarrassed them at times, being out and being, the loud, laughy one. I hope I'm not still,
No, no.
but it created a conversation and we all had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that's bonding.
Yes, yes. And I remember years ago what Oprah said, and I think about it often, is that we do better when we know better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you've got all this death and car accidents and sadness happening in your life, and you're not, and then you start to cover it up and just keep pushing all that stuff down, you don't even know you're doing it when you're
No,
doing it.
no, exactly.
Right. And so now, and I think it's wonderful now that your family can realize that, because I think so often, especially as kids, we have experiences as we grow up, and and we're resentful or angry or whatever about it, but usually our parents are only doing the best that they could do with what they knew at that time.
Oh, exactly.
And so I think that and so for your kids and for other people out there, understanding and being able to understand where where that person, where you were coming from, and how, and the sadness that you were feeling but you weren't able to express, so stuff comes out. We can only keep it shoved down there for so long, and it's going to
Oh,
come out.
exactly. And I even went to counselors. Like I went to two different counselors to help me through this because
Yeah.
I knew like,
Yeah.
okay, something's not right. Um, but yeah, I just didn't even find, not that they were effective, but I wasn't receptive of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You weren't. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, for sure. So, in sort of towards the end of your story here, you say that the lesson that you learned and that you want to share is alcohol and prescription drugs should not be paired as a coping mechanism. Um, Being present with uncomfortable emotions is the only way to grieve and heal. And the process is challenging, but dealing with your grief is the only path to move forward.
Mhm.
Yeah. What else? If someone was with you, or if you were talking to me and I was having issues, what advice based on your situation do you think that you would be able to give? Give some wisdom to the world, Alison. Give us some wisdom.
Well, I'll tell you what not to do, but
Okay.
I think just talk to someone and confide and let them know that you're struggling. Because I even my one of my sisters and my brother-in-law, when they read the story, they said they were devastated that they didn't realize that I was
Oh,
going through this,
interesting.
but I didn't want anyone to know.
No, of course, of
No,
course.
like I wasn't, they felt bad that they didn't see it, but yet I didn't want anyone to see it. I
Of
wasn't
course.
open to having, it released.
Yes.
So that's what I just think is always talk to someone, make sure that, and no, if you're dealing with something or not, like I knew, and I was taking some steps that I thought would help me, but it just didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's,
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very freeing though to be on the other side and
Yes.
taking
Yeah.
have a new plan of attack
Yeah.
for my
Yeah.
daughter. It was just my birthday and my daughter put in her card, my Sophia, saying that she's so proud of me that I'm taking steps to make myself happy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And what a good role model that was for her. So
Now you're gonna make me cry, Alison.
I know we cried,
that what a beautiful thing to say. Oh,
yeah,
that yeah.
it was good.
Yeah. No, it's, healing yourself, you're healing your family, and I think that's one of the reasons I started this, is because, and it's funny because I'm remarried, so I have 2 daughters and a son that my husband's, but I have 3 sons. And so my boys are like, well, why isn't it called women or men like me? And it's like, because it's not, to start with, but because I believe that women are the healers. If we're not okay, our family's not okay.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when I started, I mean, my intent of writing this story was not actually, at the time, I didn't think of women like me.
Yes.
And I was just writing it to journal it because
Yes.
Alissa, my daughter, said, like, just start writing and getting things out on paper.
Yes.
And so that's how I started. But I think I cried over every word.
Aww.
And I remember Paulo saying to me, what's the matter? I was like, oh, I'm just writing. But it was relieving to cry over it. So like, even though I was crying, it wasn't like I was down and out having an awful experience. I was just, releasing. So it was good.
Yeah.
And then I was actually with a client, and she had said, she had gone through a somewhat similar situation, and she just said, why is this happening to me? I had such a normal childhood. And I thought, well, I think this affects that's why I did want to put it in the book, is because I had a somewhat normal childhood too. But what is normal, I don't know at this now that as we get older. But I had loving parents, I had a great family life. So I think things like this, we're all susceptible to.
Absolutely, we are.
To spiraling down. And so I did want to share it because of that, because it was just such a profound statement. And I just thought, oh my goodness, like how many other people feel like that?
Yes. And I think that in my mind, we all fall down from time to time. But the key is getting back up and learning the lessons and doing better. And that's what you have done. And that's what you have shown to anyone who watches this or reads your story, that there's help, and it's okay to go through your process and your grieving, but you need to come out of it on the other side. You can't stay there. Yeah.
And it takes work to get out.
Yes.
And, it's not always like, even working up to being on this podcast. This morning I thought, oh, I've got to read that story. To read it again. And I did, and I cried the whole way through. But yet I needed to remind myself of it, because it's not just now that I've written it, put it on the shelf and walk away. Like, I'm still healing. I'm still, working on being the best that I can be. And that is a part of it. That's something that is there, and it will always be there.
Yes. Well, that's a wonderful, I love how you said that you don't just put it on the shelf.
No.
If you did, you'd probably slide somewhere else.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Alison, I'm just so thankful that you did agree to write your story in the book. And I just feel that it's such a great contribution. So I thank you for that. And thank you for doing this video. I appreciate that as well. And I hope that, well, not even hope, I know from the bottom of my heart that other people will be helped from your story and from watching you talk about talk about your story here. I believe that, we never know who we're going to help. But I know I get emails, I get private messages from strangers, and saying that, I resonated with this woman, or I don't know if you remember Sydney, who wrote, well, I don't know if you met Sydney, but Sydney and you wrote in the same book. Well, Sydney's paralyzed from a car accident, and Sydney got an email from a grandmother from Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Who read the book, but her granddaughter had passed away. So she felt that she wanted to reach out and thank Sydney for writing the story. Like, we just don't know where the books end up. We don't know who's reading them. But I have great faith knowing that all the stories, and yours included, will be helpful to others in the world, for sure. So thank you for doing this.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
No,
it was the start of a new journey for me. So it was very cool.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I'm going to, we'll sign off. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and we will talk soon.
Great. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.